Yeah, today is the last session of Gaudium Spes. So it could be a summary of Gaudium Spes with some additional slots, which also focus on the significance and more on the general evaluation on Gaudium Spes. And yeah, it's introduction of Vatican II as usual. And yeah, when I introduce Gaudium Spes, which recognize, if not a Vatican II as a whole, but the Gaudium Spes recognize recovery of human history in the church or of the church. So yeah, reading the sign of times uh, and I'm interpreting them in the light of gospel, familiar to us. And at the same time, we must therefore recognize, understand the word. So without a proper, right understanding and the word, there would be no proper reading of the sign of time in light of the gospel, yeah, vice versa. So we need to acknowledge, recognize the human history, and also people of God is the key through which we could interpret, understand the whole Vatican II and as well as Gaudium Spes. And yeah, this is a new slot. I also introduce, I want to introduce this guy who died more than 10 years ago, of course, 13 years ago. He's a really, really expert on Vatican II, including Gaudium Spes. He wrote 5 volumes on Vatican II called History of Vatican II. So, but you could see this book. This is an exact book of the cover of book. Can you see this? Can you see this? Because of my background is not quite. Can you see this book, which is less than 150 pages, which is very thin, if not very, but is thin book, which is a brief history of Vatican II. If you can afford to read the whole 5 volumes with maybe 300, 400 pages each. So I think this is uh, the this book, brief history of Vatican II is enough for you and me too, because we are not expert on Vatican II, but I think it's enough for us to have some inspiration. The procedure of Vatican II, bit by bit, session by session, I introduce how difficult the procedure it was. And I got as many quotes from this book indeed. So you could take as a good response as long as Vatican II is concerned. His name is Giuseppe Alberigo. He's Italian, Italian historian, editor of a history of Vatican II. It's a wrong name. I think this is the history of Second Vatican Council or something like that. That pointed out at the connectivity, I think this is discontinuities of council and departure from previous church teachings. Goodbye to the previous church teachings or council too. Why is it? He said that this continuity doesn't mean that there is no, continuation between the previous councils and the Vatican II, but it has some continuity. But that also, Vatican II has some as a role as break. Before I told you, it's kind of a break or a new Pentecost. where we born again. So he put it discontinuity of the uh, council, and also departure from the previous church teachings. Indeed, is kind of revolution in Catholic Church, especially Gaudium et Spes. And Gaudium et Spes not only deal with the history but also church. Read for you. It says, according to Gaudium et Spes number 44, the experience of past ages, the progress of science, and the treasures hidden in the various forms of human culture. Remember, science, human culture, by all of which the nature of man himself is more clearly revealed, and new laws to truths are opened. These prophets at the church, these the science, human culture, and even the nature of man, people themselves, prophet the church. You know, that's what it means. This praise. Mhm. True. Indeed, the church admits that the church, has greatly profited and still profits from the antagonism. Oh, strong word, right? Those who oppose Vatican II, also the people who got objection to the idea of Vatican II, or the whole spirit of Vatican II, um, even from them, the church benefited from. So this idea is really inclusivistic. So number 44, dealing with how the church is, has the attitude toward the history, human history, and science, all cultures, and human themselves. Um, and this is next paragraphs are written by Albergo. In the period of after Vatican II, every significant controversy that took place in the church was closely connected with the assertions found in Gaudium et Spes. From the discussions begun by the encyclical Humanae Vitae on birth control, artificial birth control not allowed for Catholics, any Catholic use, so which is very controversial encyclical by Pope uh, Six, already become a saint. He is indeed the one who finished Vatican II, but what he came up with in the final stage of his pontificate was the encyclical the Humanae Vitae, which means on birth control. No, human life, um, which dealing with the birth control, strongly, blame or ban the using such artificial, uh, birth control measure tools, something like that. So from this kind of a controversial encyclical to the controversies over liberation theology in Latin America and many others. So all of these things have their roots in the Gaudium et Spes. Giuseppe Alberigo also recognized the role of Gaudium et Spes, which anchored, rooted in the all controversial things in the church around that times. So this part we already gone through. Gaudium et Spes focused on common goods rather than individual, ownership, something like that. So you have to not only focus this, but also all the organizations, all the social institutions, and devotional groups have to be devoted to bettering the condition of the life, the bettering the quality of life, or betterment of the uh, word, simply put it. So the Christian must be conscious of their specific and the proper role as Christian. dedication to common good. And also, Gaudium et Spes dealing just international order, just economical and political international order. So God intended the all human beings and peoples. So, number 69, Gaudium et Spes number 69 focus all human beings as well as all peoples, meaning peoples in the nation, people in the small group like indigenous peoples. It's all peoples, so that it's much progressive than John 23rd Parchmentaris, Peace on the Earth, where the Pope emphasizes on all human beings. Mm-hmm. So it's much more progressive than the John 23rd himself. So not much more, it's similar, but a little bit. And here, the created goods should be used in for all people. Mm-hmm. Earth group belong to everyone. So I emphasize many times. And it's mentioned developing nation should not be free under the same economical structure, same political system. We are not in a historically and colonial era, but we are neo-colonial era where in which we are not, as a developing nations, we are not free from at all. So advanced nations have to help them, as a gift, by gift or loans or financial investments, so on. So it's a deal with the relationship between developing nations and advanced nation in the light of just international order, just economical and political international order, and the pluralism in Gaudium et Spes. So all people of every nation, race, and culture, the church show itself as signs of the spirit of fellowship which renders possible, which provides sincere dialogue and strengthen it. So church not only acknowledged all legitimate diversity, but also engaged in ever more fruitful dialogue, whether they are pastors or other members of the faithful. So number 92, embrace the older, different, uh, um, the diverse cultures and diverse the people's lifestyle, um, and also Fratelli Tutti, written by Pope Francis, the current Pope, which is already 2020, one year ago, indeed, 3 months ago. So it's also embrace the diversity or pluralism by saying like this: our culture, our local experience needs to develop in contrast to this kind of comparison, sometimes contrast, sometimes harmony with the experience of other living in diverse cultural contexts. So Pope Francis said he cherished the people he urged indigenous people to cherish their ancestral culture, but at the same time, he has no intention to propose as kind of a history, a kind of indigenism, which means Latin America, who is the name of the group of people who mixing with uh, okay. So all right, and FABC, FABC also embrace pluralism uh, more a strong way. Pluralism is a necessity strong, right? This pluralism should not be a sign of threat, but a sign of a positive, creative sign. So that our unity is deeper. It's quite the relevant word and proper word. And a genuine value that emphasizes unity in diversity, which is very familiar to us, isn't it? And also unity, peace, harmony are to be realized in diversity. I think this diversity and pluralism is our lifestyle. But in the Catholic Church and other churches too, is very afraid of diversity, and because they cannot such a diversity we enjoy in Asia. You know, although East Asia and South Asia, Southeast Asia, the diversity, pluralism, or the cultural determination. Once again, cultural determination is different from one another. So when it comes to plurality or diversity, pluralism, we should dig deeper. Mhm. You know, start deeper because it's a one different from one another. How different? Because the South Asia is more on based on the Hinduism or Brahmanism, which is a kind of become lifestyle. How about Southeast Asia, like Islam, like in Indonesia, biggest the biggest Islamic country, Islam country in the world, indeed, and also the Indo-Chinese countries, you know, dominated by the Buddhism. Mm? It's Theravada Buddhism. So it's a kind of Buddhism is a kind of lifestyle. How about East Asia? East Asia a little bit different. Sometimes it's Mahayana Buddhism and the Confucianism and Taoism, and it's Zen Buddhism, also Shintoism, and this kind of different the religious and cultural differences make such a plurality or pluralism, diversity, different from one another. So FAVC is put together all diversity. No, it's just different. But FAVC is you know, sensitivity not sensible enough to you see differentiate one from another. We don't have such papers, you know. So maybe our participants could deal with that way. You see, what is difference the pluralism from India to pluralism from Indonesia or pluralism from Korea. So this kind of you know comparison was very much relevant study. So one of you, if you have interest in that area, it could be a great contribution in terms of making a theory. All right, this is kind of you know resource of source of the theology from everyday life, which means lay theologies, lay spiritualities. Okay, and yeah, contribution of Gaudium et Spes. Again, the Francis Claver, he said the term justice and peace is a new slot. The term justice and peace started to be used as if one word after Vatican II, which is tremendous contribution of Vatican II and especially Gaudium et Spes. Gaudium et Spes relates the issue of peace among nations to just the international order, economical and political. And you can look up this number 83 to 87. Based on that, Pope Paul VI established the JP Commission for the first time in Vatican. So what is the impact of the Gaudium et Spes or Vatican II is kind of, you know, establishment, a JP Commission in Vatican during the Vatican II or right after Vatican II. The concept of integral human development, you have heard many times. The current Pope Francis mentioned this one is many times ever since uh, the papal exhortation called Gaudium et, no, Joy of the Gospel, Evangelii Gaudium, Joy of the Gospel, in which he very much stand on the tradition of the Catholic social teaching ever since in Gaudium and Spes mentioned, which mentioned integral human development, also continued, expressed, manifested in the Populorum Progressio on the human development of peoples, 1967 by Pope Paul VI. After 20 years, Pope John Paul II embraced that one. His encyclical on social concern, published in 1987. We also very much stress on the whole encyclical dealing with this concept. After 20 years, it was the Pope, Benedict XVI, in not exactly 20 years, 22 years, 2009, Caritas in Veritate, Caritas in Veritate, Veritas in Caritate, Caritas in Veritate, Caritas in Veritate. In his encyclical, he also focused integral human development with the focus also ecology and also a global phenomenon. What do you call it? It's globalization. Yes, globalization. And this 20 years update those three predecessors of Pope Francis all deal with this great idea, integral human development. And Francis, the synthesize and also combine all together into his exhortation, Gaudium Evangelii Gaudium, the joy of the gospel. Here he said it is a strong recommendations. I think this is unstable too now, but I will continue. A strong recommendation to help the poor with what is necessary, not with something left. So feed a man dying of hunger, because if you not fed him, you have killed him. Indeed, exactly this is mentioned in the number 69. This is not from him himself. This is his name is he's a church father long time ago. It's Saint John Chrysostomos. Yes, John Chrysostomos. I think his phrase is belongs to him. Once again, feed the man dying of hunger, because if you not fed him, you have killed him. And the church will even give up. It shows the relationship between the state and church. That the church will even give up the exercise of certain rights. If the rights, the use of the rights will cast doubt on the sincerity of the church witness, you should give up the exercise. You should give up such rights, So church attitude toward the temporal things, such status, benefitable status, and as a temporal things, and what is a church's final mission, which and reflected in the number 76. And also, this again, we have Aloysius Piris. It's a newsletter, and he also pointed out the significance of Gaudium et Spes. Gaudium et Spes explicitly tells that the way we should go as church is along the personal sanctification and social transformation. Sorry, this is what he said. Francis Javier Claver, not him. Sorry, this is all about I think it's, yeah, it's belong to, I think it's belong to him also, yeah, right? No, there is no, you just find this one. So this one is belong to Archbishop Javier, I mean, Claver. I repeat again, the spirituality of personal sanctification and social transformation. Here we see the two different, clear, different idea: personal sanctification and social transformation. Why he put the dash here? What do you mean by this? Personal dash sanctification dash and dash social dash transformation. Meaning there is no break, there is no disconnect. So it's all personal sanctification and the social transformation is one. We need this kind of spirituality. So it's kind of like this. You have, love your love God and the love your neighbor is one. You see? So love yourself and the love your neighbor is one. Love you as an individual, love your neighbor as kind of a social relationship. So it's a social and personal and social the, the charity, love, kind of sanctification, transformation as one. This is what the Claver pointed out. So this is a kind of a generalization of all generalization about Vatican II. Meaning, this is only one, theme which generalize the whole idea of Vatican II. Of course, the Vatican II itself generalized the whole idea of the church, but out of this, the view is generalized. This all the generalization of Vatican II. So personal social metanoia. Yeah, one put simply, it is a personal and social metanoia. Metanoia means conversion. It's not converted one religion from another. Its conversion is change, totally change uh, dramatically. So never return. That is what metanoia means. So personal and social conversion as a one conversion. You are converted to Christianity, that means you have to concern also for the concern for the social dimension of your faith. So we have faith which has a two side, personal and social. So it cannot be separate at all. So here brought a very brilliant idea here, not brilliant, but a old one, but his interpretation is a little bit, worth listening to. The separation of church and state. You have many times. Separation of church and state. We should separate church from a state, vice versa. What do you think? This is kind of anecdotes when he experiencing facing strong criticism of one of a member of Rotary Club. You know Rotary Club. Rotary Club is everywhere, every country, even in Asia. Uh, the membership is not goes to the poor people. Its membership goes to the rich people, those who are in the power, something like that. So one of in 1980s, when martial law declared by the military dictator named Marcos Fernando, he, one of the strong critics, I think the Claver is one of a very strong critic of Marcos, and yeah, that is the backdrop. That is background, you know. And then one of the group members, the Rotary Club member, attacked the club by saying, "You should separate of a church from state. Then why you go against the Jesus teach? You know." And that is the following sentence. It says what Claber's response. When we criticize the Marcos government for its wrongdoing, we are doing exactly what Christ said. So his teaching, his mention, his statement does not, go against the Christ's teaching. So we are giving to Caesar or Caesar in English what belongs to him, criticism and opposition for the evil he's doing. And we are giving to God what is God's obedience to his injunction, injunction kind of an order, recommendation, command. Mhm. Recommendation a little bit weaker. So it's good order, kind of a command. Obedience to God's command to correct brothers who are at fault. The brothers are in error, so we need to correct them, which is belong to God. That's what Calaveras responds to the attacker. So maybe you could. It's kind of worth for you to think about this kind of separation of the church and the state. So we have once again, I invite Piris here. All right, I read later a little bit. Yeah, he mentioned also Gaudium and Spes as major source of renewal. According to him, there are three sources of renewal: humanism, patristics, and scriptures. We dealt with this already. Church father, meaning patristic is church father, church tradition. And the scripture we already dealt with by bringing the Dei Verbum, another constitution of Vatican II. And now he's talking about humanism. Three sources, not something those who blame Vatican II for promoting sola scriptura, I mentioned already. People, blame Vatican II for promoting sola scriptura because it's from Martin Luther. At the cost of church tradition, fail. Those who blame this way fail to appreciate this council's recovery of the best and the best and earliest of the Christian tradition. Because we, the Vatican II already bring the table of the scripture again. So recovery of scripture. But if you blame for this promoting, sola scriptura at the cost of church, you are wrong. You fail. That is the meaning of by the Alicia Spirits. Gaudium et Spes has taught us that we should be judicially open to the secular humanism of the modern world. Of course, he recognized secular humanism, leaving the Western patriarchates to discover and dialogue with its own secular humanism coming from West, while these things, secular patriarch or secular, humanism from West, just leave it to them. We Asian will have to incarnate ourselves in the religious humanism. You could, compare what is a secular humanism to religious humanism of our non-Christian cultures. So Asian meet at their ancient humanism at their doorstep. So, the Westerners, they have a dialogue with the secular humanism, all the way from Western patriarchates. But the Asian, like us, we just have a ancient humanism at our doorstep, thanks to the great world religions as well as the cosmic spirituality of tribal and clanic tradition as of now, not back from the or some special area like a secular humanism, but we are thanks to the great world religion as of now, as well as cosmic spirituality of tribal and clanic tradition as of now. So this is a different secular humanism and religious humanism. I think this is yeah, this one. Father Furious, Vatican II didn't aim at mere institutional reform that leave the structural of the church untouched. Indeed, Vatican II didn't deal with the church reform, institutional reform, but launched a program of permanent and ongoing renewal whose momentum has to be maintained at all costs if we want to be a self-evangelizing church, meaning we should renew ourselves all the time. Otherwise, we are not, evangelize nothing. So if you want to evangelize or do mission for others, you should do continue your renew yourself. So evangelizing church, self-evangelizing church, that could become a good news to the world. This is what his book is like, yeah. Yeah, give Vatican II a chance. One more chance. No, give Vatican II a chance. Can you see this? Yeah, this book. Give Vatican II a chance. So anyway, we need the renewal, which is an ongoing process. It's not not much on the institutional churches. I a little bit disagree with him because we need structural reform too. So in that sense, maybe maybe a different idea. Okay, we already showed this last one, I think. Yeah, this guy. Name is Massimo Paggioli. He's the in his mid 50, and he's a very nice theologian, lay theologian, and I learned a lot from him. He said, Gaudium and Spes has been visibly one of the hermeneutical keys in the most crucial passage of Francis' pontificate. This book is published 2016. So he said the most crucial passage. I don't think this is a, Amoris Laetitia is a apostle, synodal apostolic exhortation, meaning papal exhortation. I don't think it's the most crucial passage. But at the time of 2016, one of most the crucial passage of Francis' pontificate. So, and he said, the spirit between different ways of interpreting Gaudium et Spes is evident if we analyze the different uses of two key passages. Remember, there are two key passages of the documents. Number 22, on Christ, the new Adam, which more focus on the Christ, our salvation, Savior, once and for all. You see, so and another kind of a different, totally different the perspective in number 36 on autonomy of earthly affair. So progressive Catholic theologian tend to leave 22, Christ, the new Adam, but they prefer this kind of 36 for their interpretation of Gaudium et Spes. While the conservative theologians tend to do the opposite, meaning they want to interpret through this lens, like a Christ new Adam. But progressive theologians want to interpret the whole Vatican II or Gaudium et Spes, this autonomy of earthly affairs. What it is? Let's see this. Number 22, in which Gaudium et Spes express Christ, the final Adam, in him all the aforementioned truths we mentioned before, find their roots and attain their crown. Here, truths, all the truths only, accomplished in Jesus Christ. But you see the Gaudium et Spes also, embraced the kind of pluralism, diversity. How could you claim this? It's a very sensitive and very important, very difficult theme indeed to deal with. So because of this, pluralism is a very much sorry. Okay, I will continue. You can give your idea later. All right. Okay. And how about the number 36? If by the autonomy of earthly affairs, we mean that created things and society themselves enjoy their own laws and values, which must be gradually deciphered, meaning decoded or interpreted or paraphrased, ordinary terms, ordinary language, in order to be used and regulated, managed by the human beings, then it is entirely right to demand that autonomy. So that means earthly affairs could be managed for all, and for all people, including church. It's okay. That's the idea. All right. So this is kind of two different passages according to Fajoli. So we have two different faction of progressive and conservative ones. Okay, this is I said hermeneutical keys before I brought the people of God in Lumen Gentium, but he said from the whole the documents of Vatican II, it is a Gaudium et Spes as a hermeneutical keys to see the interpret what what Vatican II is about. Okay, themes for group discussion. What is your favorite word or phrases in Gaudium et Spes? What is your understanding of religious humanism in Gaudium et Spes? What is your idea of the separation of state and the truth in the church in Gaudium et Spes? If not in Gaudium et Spes, you just go ahead with the basic understanding, your own understanding of a separation of the state and the church, and also religious humanism. What is different from religious humanism and secular humanism? So on. Okay.